One to the second session, From Fear to Fearlessness Through the Wisdom of Emptiness, a teaching by Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is the director of Tibet House, New Delhi, a great scholar, practitioner, and teacher par excellence, who is able to teach very subtle and nuanced concepts to beginners, and you really feel like it's a mother coming with very delicious food and coming to feed you right into your mouth. This is the way in which Geshe teaches. I'm sure many of you have also attended his intensive retreats at different locations in the world. Hopefully, when this pandemic situation has subsided, if you have not had the opportunity to attend a retreat with Geshe, I would highly recommend. It's an experience that must be had in this life. If his teachings resonate with you. And also, of course, Geshe is single-handedly the primary teacher of the Nalanda diploma course and Nalanda master's course in Buddhist philosophy, which are two programs run through Tibet House. The Nalanda diploma course is an amazing foundation for any person who is interested in Buddhism, or in non-duality, or in their wish to end their sufferings and have infinite happiness. So I think, so as we wait for Geshe to arrive, I already introduced Sisters in Spirit to you yesterday, but in case some of you were not there, I just want to say that my name is 𝗩𝗲𝗃. I am also a student of Venerable Geshe, and I started this independent Dharma project in November 2020, mostly to make a space, especially for women practitioners or people who self-identify as women, and create a very contemporary secular space where the teachings of non-duality could enter into a dialogue with ecological sustainability, with disability studies, with feminism and queer theory, because and with the inclusion of artistic expression, because I feel that there is very vast and profound knowledge in the Buddha Dharma, which is of great benefit, of course, to all of us more and more as we enter into darker times. We just have to turn our news on to really get a sense of how much actually we do want the tools to transform our hearts and minds. So we are very grateful that Geshe is now here with us. So without taking any more time, I will pass. Geshe, of course, made a very beautiful introduction and set the stage and made the background for going deeper into really understanding wisdom of emptiness and the concept of and emptiness itself, how everything is coming from our mind. And he left us at a cliffhanger moment yesterday. So over to Geshe. Thank you so much, Geshe, for joining us again today.
Thank you, 𝗩𝗲𝗃, and all your friends, all the participants. Today I came to realize that we have a good start of time at 2 hours from 3 to 5. And so yesterday I was informing 𝗩𝗲𝗃 that if we could do a little bit more of the question answers, because many of the participants are new and they learn more from question answers than the one-way monologue talk. And then today I came to discover that part is lapse on my side, that I just flow with the timetable given by the secretary. Yeah, I just flow with him. I don't know where I'm going, and I just flow. Wherever he asks me to go, I go. Yeah, this is a little hectic, and then when I'm actually there, then I realized that why not we make the most of our time together. And today, luckily, we have 2 hours, solid 2 hours, and hopefully I'll stop by like 1.5 hours, and then half hours we will leave for question answers, and then after that we have another class. There's 2 classes after that. Yeah. Okay. So with this in mind, should you have questions? Particularly, I would say that if those of you who are meeting me for the first time and you have some questions, just feel free. It doesn't mean that I have all answers. The point is that this question must be brought up, and then the people should hear these questions. And don't think that the question is small. In fact, somebody who comes with a question from the heart, so these people will evolve. If you come with questions from somewhere in the air, which you heard from someone, and not really your question, you brought it out there, it not really help you to grow as much. Whereas the question coming from within you, even though you think that can be a very trivial question, this is this is from where one can grow. This is the indication of the first warmth, the heat of the fire of the wisdom. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. And in fact, I would say that in case if amongst the newcomers or anybody else, you have some questions, feel free to ask me. And meanwhile, particularly those of you who are with me for almost like every day, right? So those of you, I request you to hold your question for some time, let others give chance to others. And in case if others don't ask questions, then you can bring up your questions. I know that even those people who are with me almost every day on the screen, you have a lot more questions. I know that, but then because this is the one opportunity, or for me, not necessarily for you to learn from me, but for me to hear from you. So therefore, let us see that as the opportunities be given to the people who are newcomers. Okay. Having said this, yesterday the way we left was that what exactly is that mechanism which can really help us, each one of us, to unfold our true nature. Our true nature meaning, to awaken the seed of perfection, where each one of us, you, me, and your near and dear ones, and you say some of you have some of your relatives, your husbands, your wives, your children, your parents, in a very difficult shape, difficult situation, and some into addiction, some into, they say, some kind of problem in one way or the other, some problem there, and then you really want to help. So we see that this is the path meaning this is the healing factor, this is the panacea to heal a problem, and we don't have to believe in it, and don't expect that this healing system I must teach everybody, right? No, let's say it depends on the situation. So the fact that you practice it and you feel it, you transform yourself, make sure that some degree of transformation takes place within you. When some degree of transformation takes place within you, then people around you, they are watching you, they're observing you, they are imbibing what you are transmitting. So for example, I say, good morning, how are you? Say that the other person feels a little hurt. Whereas because of this, like these teachings on compassion, on wisdom and so forth, and even your tone of your greetings become more gentle. Good morning, how are you? I'm so glad that you look so glowing, right? And look at the peace the other person defines. So this transformation, you see, in yourself, and other people, they see in you. This is how you convince others into the path of the freedom, the path of the fearlessness. Otherwise, what we do is that we learn all these things. We talk about it, and it's like saying that don't shout, and I'm shouting. So this is not the proper way. So the point is that these things are extremely important concepts, and it's a great opportunity. I'm very fortunate. And then for me to meet with you, and each one of us through 𝗩𝗲𝗏, we're all very fortunate to hear about emptiness, for me to reinforce what emptiness is. Okay, so today some of you already know the secret of my teaching, and the others who are new to this, you have to maintain confidentiality of this teaching. Don't let anybody else in the big monastery universities to know that this teaching is happening. 1.5 hours of teaching on emptiness. Why? Because these people will ask you, oh, you learned about emptiness. They will have such a respect to you. You'll say, how many years you studied? 20 years, 30 years. You'll say, no, must be 5 years. No. 1 year? No. Then 1 month? No. 1 day? No. Then what? 1.5 hours. Okay. So what I'm saying is that partly this, I'm joking. So the jokes aside, the point is that don't expect to get emptiness within 1.5 hours. So what we are doing is that, of course, there are many, the 𝗩𝗲𝗏 herself, and then 𝗩𝗲𝗏 here, and 𝗩𝗲𝗏 from Russia, and then we have many of my friends here. I can see that who have been into this, and then Shandila, many into this for the last many years, and particularly for the newcomers, as I indicated yesterday, that this is, of course, for everyone, including myself. In fact, this is one of the topics which is so close to my heart. And yet at the same time, the point is that I'm trying to incorporate the people who are new to this. So let's not expect the fact that people like 𝗩𝗲𝗏, has been studying with me since like 2006. Recently, she came up with the whole the note of her spiritual journey, and that the time flew like this, and she was a teenager then. So what I'm saying is that such people who are so deeply into it and still come to all these teachings, which means that there's not something that you will get over 1.5 hours. So particularly for those of us who are new to this, I keep in mind that, okay, so the fact that there are so many other people there, Shandila, so many years into this, and which means that this teaching is something that it's like the opening the gate, and then I have to explore deeper inside myself. Okay. So for this, the first thing that I'd like to share with you pertaining to emptiness is that the relevance, the way I indicated yesterday, I'd like to reinforce it today a little bit. Charles Darwin, what he indicated was that, like, I'll say the 2008, when I was in America with Professor Paul Ekman, who was a world-renowned psychologist, and in fact he was being named as the pioneer of the microfacial expression reader. So he's the pioneer of the science. And one time he was coming to India to have dialogue with His Holiness to come up with a book, and finally the book came out, Emotional Awareness. I would highly recommend you to read this book, Emotional Awareness, which is the product of the book, a product of the dialogue between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Professor Paul Ekman. And the Office of His Holiness sent me to America to make sure that His Holiness's the voice is accurate. So I was there for 5 days with him. And then he was so meticulous with his to entertain me there for five days that I was not bored. And every evening there was some plan. The day one was meeting with his family members. Number two was meeting with Google staff and psychologists, many of his students. And then he asked me to give a very short intro about the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, and so forth. So I talked about how our negative emotions, such as attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, and so forth, the aim is to get rid of these and to feel the freedom from the negative emotions. And then one lady psychologist, she raised her hand and said that, but it's not possible to get rid of the emotions. You call it negative, but then these emotions, you cannot really get rid of these emotions because these are evolutionary gifts. These are evolutionary instincts. We cannot really get rid of these because we survive. Say, for us to survive, we need the conducive factors. For us to survive, we need to get rid of the unconducive factors. Who will help you to get the conducive factors? Your attachment. If you don't have the attachment, you will not work to gather the conducive factors. If you don't have the anger, you will not work to get rid of the unconducive factors. Without doing that, you're bound to die. And then without fear, you'll not run away from the threats. So these are the instincts, yet nothing bad about it. They are so important. They are the indispensable instrument for our survival. This is what was said. Okay, now here it comes. In other words, what I'm saying is that according to Charles Darwin or Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, these emotions, what we talk about, the fear, particularly the fear, and then the fear related to that, what helps us to get rid of the fear, we feel attached to that, what helps us to, what makes to increase the fear, we run away from this fear, they say the aversion. So these emotions, the take on the emotions by Charles Darwin and by the Buddha is very different. And Charles Darwin said that these emotions are invariably required for somebody to survive. And the Buddha said, no, these emotions destroy you. These emotions destroy you. And if you ask Charles Darwin and his the followers, if you ask, when you are angry, are you happy? None of the Charles Darwin's evolutionary theorists would say that, okay, today I'm so excited, today I'll have full of anger. Nobody likes that. Yet when one is in the grip of anger, you just lose your common sense. This is reality. So therefore, the common sense, there's the common expression which says that when you're angry, don't take decisions. Don't make decisions when you're angry. And don't make promises when you're happy. So these are the common expressions. So from this, the emotions, how they really lead us into the wrong direction. So the Buddha said that these emotions are very destructive. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama so beautifully puts it, saying that these emotions, the purpose as indicated by Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory is to gather the conducive factors and to avoid the non-conducive factors, which can so effectively be done by the love. A genuine feeling of love and caring that will do that purpose. And with the anger meant to, sometimes His Holiness jokingly says that the anger meant to destroy your enemy, you hit it wrongly and it hits you back and you will be destroyed. That happens many times. Whereas with the love and affection, there's no side effect. It's so beautiful. Others surrender and there's a tremendous surge of joy within you. So this is the difference. And now, what makes Charles Darwin say that is instinct and it cannot be gone returned? And what made the Buddha, what gave the Buddha the confidence Yeah, even these, yes, are they instincts? Yes, in a way we can say that. In Buddhism, there's a concept known as the innate afflictions. They're innate, spontaneous. They are there. What modern science would call it as instinct, the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology will call them as innate afflictions, innate destructive emotions. And the Buddha said, however innate they are, they can be got rid of. Why? How? This is what the Buddha has acquired, which Charles Darwin was totally deprived of. What is that? That these emotions, they are, say, the intersection. There's an intersection of the cognitive thought process and the emotions. The intersection is a feeling. And this feeling created by the cognitive thought process, and the feeling is created, and this feeling is like the intersection point, which gives rise to the various emotions. Attachment, when it's a very pleasant feeling, then the emotional attachment arises. When the unpleasant feeling arises, when the unpleasant feeling is there, then the feeling of the emotion of aversion arises. So these are all triggered by these emotions, triggered by the unpleasant feeling or the pleasant feeling, and these feelings in turn are triggered by the cognitive thought processes. So with the cognitive thought process, there is one unique cognitive thought process where you see that there's nothing really there from the object, emptiness. With this concept, we see that all the ground for all these destructive emotions dissolve. Because all these destructive emotions, you run away from something or you chase the object. In both cases, what is happening is that there is an underscoring belief that things exist objectively. And this Charles Darwin failed to address. That this is not the reality. Whereas the Buddha 2,500 years ago, way before Charles Darwin came on this earth, the Buddha indicated that all these destructive emotions, underscoring all these is the ignorance which believes that things exist from the object. The way you believe the dream is real from the object. The moment you wake up from the dream, all the fears and the emotions related to the dream, they all dissolve the moment you wake up. This is the greatest of the freedom. Where you are not being affected by the dream contents anymore. Okay, so in this connection, say the dream, as I said earlier, the dream. How many of you know now? How many of you now know that the dream is purely subjective? It's nothing from the object. Raise hands. That I understand. Raise hands. Very good. Okay. So if you know that, my next question is, what about the rainbow? Rainbow is subjective or objective? Raise hands. Anybody? Okay, rainbow is complicated. Mirage. Objective, subjective, raise hands. Okay, how many of you say that it's objective? Raise hands. Or how many say it's subjective? Raise hands. Mirage is subjective. It's all purely made by your mind. When you look at it, you see the so real as water, but in actuality, it is just the fact that it appears as water was simply my mental creation, mental exaggeration. From the object, there's nothing, there's a water. Okay, that's good. What about rainbow? Okay, rainbow, we see, okay, now some of you might be understanding where I'm trying to take you to. In fact, say from the very simple insight in the dream as coming from my mind to the mirage, which is more seen during the waking state, and then going to the rainbow, right? You go like this, we gradually unfolding happens, gradually. It is like the peeling the onion, one layer after layer. So this is what happens. This is what is known as the evolving, somebody becoming evolved. Okay, this is how we are expected to do. Then the next point is, okay, let's say that the the rainbow, you cannot say that it's purely coming from my mind, and you cannot, because you can take a photograph of the rainbows. If it's not there from the object, then how can it come to the, with hallucination, we cannot take a photograph of the hallucination. The dream, we cannot take the photograph of the dream. And the mirage, it's okay, perhaps the photographers, the experts, photography experts, they can tell us whether you can catch the mirage. Okay, so we see that there are things purely coming from my mind, which you are so aware of, to becoming subtler, seemingly more and more from the object. Okay. Now my question is that, okay, what is my left hand? A flower is there. What is my right hand? Nothing is there. Right? Okay. Let us make sure that you are following what I'm saying. If you just take for granted, okay, this is of course a flower. If you take for granted, if you miss one point, you will miss the rest of my talk. So therefore, it may sound very simple, but then through the simple points, if you miss one point, you will miss the rest of the simple points, and putting it all together becomes very complex, and you miss the complex point. Okay. So in my left hand is a flower. In my right hand is nothing there. Okay. If I asked you to imagine, okay, this is what is let's say a rose flower, a beautiful rose flower. Imagine blue tulip flowers in my right hand. If I ask you what is the difference between these two, one is a rose flower in my left hand, and the other one is the imaginary blue tulips. Given that we don't have time, so many of the question answers I'm doing by myself. Actually, you should be actually involved in it. So what is my left hand is the pink rose flowers, and what is my right hand is the imaginary blue tulip flowers. What's the difference between these two? Anybody, very quick. Anybody? Very quick. What's the difference between these two? There are so many differences. You can just share with. You just raise hands if you want like to give the answer. What's the difference between these two? Anybody? Very quick. Very quick. Oh, okay. The Alifia.
One is real and one is imaginary.
One is real, one is imaginary. Very good. And Swati, can you like to share something? Swati Sharma.
Hi, can you hear? Well, I think both have different properties. Both have a certain existence, but different properties under different conditions.
Okay, good. So the two have different properties under different conditions. Okay, anybody else? And it's not that one is correct, one is wrong. Okay, Kim Louis.
One has got substance and one is no substance.
Or one is substance and one does not have a substance. So which means she's from NDC. Okay, that's true. One is substance there. One doesn't, just imagine that it does not have a substance. Very good. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, the Li Hui.
One
okay.
You can touch, one you cannot.
One you can touch, one you cannot touch. Sumitji.
One is from the object side and one is from the minds. subject side.
One is from the object side and one is from the subject side. One is the objective and the other one is subjective. Okay, Shruti?
One exists and one doesn't exist.
One exists and one does not exist. Very good. Anybody else? Okay,
One
last one.
is, yeah, one is a projection from the mind. The other is what you can see from your eyes or your eyes consciousness.
Okay, so one is there from the object without being projected by your mind, but the imaginary flower is purely projection of your mind. Very good. Okay, thank you all. Thank you all. From these many answers, substance, no substance, one is real, one is not real. These two differ in properties, and the one is objective, one is subjective. All these will take us to understand that there's something coming from the object. Something coming from the object is a substance, and the other coming from your mind, from the subject. So one is objective, one is subjective. So this vocabulary we are going to learn here. We are learning this vocabulary, the two vocabularies, one coming from the object, other coming from the subject. What is coming from the object, we call it objective reality. And what is coming from the subject, we call it subjective reality. Now, let's say all of us, we had a very scary dream of being tested COVID positive. Each one of us, let's say that we had a very scary dream of being tested COVID positive. You're so scared, there's so much of fear there. And then you wake up and you get such a relief that, what a relief. Okay, my question to you is, why were you so scared in the dream? Anybody?
Because I
Okay.
thought it was real.
Shruti?
Because I felt
Because
it was real. In my
in the
dream,
dream,
it felt
in
real.
the dream, you saw the dream content that you are tested positive, COVID positive, was seen as real, right? Real. Real means it's objectively there, objectively real, not my mental projection. Right now, I know that I'm not COVID positive, but I can mentally imagine. Even if I imagine it, still I have no fear because I know that it's just my pure imagination. It's purely subjective. Whereas in the dream, although it's a projection of my mind, but I don't see them as projection of my mind. I see them as objectively real. So when you see things objectively real as repulsive, then the fear arises. Okay, when you wake up, the fear dissolves. Why? Okay, anybody? Why? Raise hands. Why the fear dissolves when you wake up? Why? Anyone?
Because you are now the object and you realize it's just a subject.
Okay, now when you wake up, you realize that whatever that happened in the dream was purely subjective. So which is real? The dream to be objective as seen in the dream is real, or the dream as subjective, the way you see when you wake up is real? Which of the two is real? Sanjay ji, which of the two is real? Sanjay ji, can you hear me? Do you hear me? Yes. You don't? Okay, no sound. Okay. Anybody? Which of the two is real? Scott? Scott? Which of the two is real? Okay, Scott, I cannot hear you. Okay, anyone else? Antonella?
Shruti wants to answer, Geshe.
Shruti
Shruti,
one.
go ahead.
Okay, Antonella, unmute. Yes.
Sorry, Geshe, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
When you wake up, it's real.
Okay, anyone else? Antonella?
When you wake up, it's real.
Can you?
Okay.
Geshe, I'm having
Yes.
problem with the internet. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, tell me.
Okay,
Antonella.
Yes, yes. Geshe-la, can you repeat the question? My internet is
Okay. Never mind, Antonella, never mind.
stuck.
Okay. So the all of us, we know the answer, the way what Scott answered, that
Geshe-la, sorry, you were muted just briefly.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So the way Scott answered, that whatever they say, your realization that the dream was not real, when you wake up, that is real. Your thought that the dream as real in the dream was deceptive. This is, how many agree with Scott? Raise hands. Okay, very good, very good. So from this, what we're learning is that when we see things as subjective. So when if I say that, okay, this flower, if it is lying next to you, and then I take it, oh, this is mine. When I say this is mine, it is a nice way of saying it is not yours. If I say it's not yours, it's so offensive. Where I say, oh, it's mine, right? It's a nice way of saying it's not yours. Likewise, when we say that the dream is subjective, it is a nice way of saying it is not objective. It is empty of being objective. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. So something existing subjectively is synonymous with something being empty of objective reality. These two are synonymous. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay. Now, my next question to you is okay, here. Okay, what are you seeing? Christian Co, what are you seeing?
Oh, water, a glass of water.
Water. Okay, very good. Water. Is there any chemist? Raise hands. Is it
a merely labeled water, a glass of water, merely
wow,
labeled.
that's amazing. Merely labeled water, right? So the Christian Co, in the morning, she goes to the shop and please sell me a merely labeled milk, right? I'll give you a merely labeled money. You will sell me, right? Okay, just say water, that's fine. You're getting it? Okay, Christian. Okay, Christian, thank you. Thank you, Christian. Okay, so we said it's a water. Now, believe it or not, the chemist will say that this is H2O. And the physicist will say that this is electrons, protons, neutrons, bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. You're getting it? Okay, thus far, what we have learned, what Sumit just said, thus far, what we've learned is that the imaginary flower is subjective and the real flower is objective. This is how we see. So now from this, what we are saying is that the phenomena of subjectivity and being empty of objectivity. This is what we have been introduced, these two vocabularies. Now with this, I'm taking you to a more complicated point. Thus far, the dream you said is subjective, it's empty of objectivity. Then the mirage, then the rainbow. Okay, now let's say the water. So Christian Go said this is water. And I'm sure many of you will agree with me that this is water. Then chemists will say this is H2O. And the physicists will say this is a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. Okay, my question to you. Which of the three answers is correct? Raise hands very quick. Okay, raise hands, raise hands. Okay, this Swati.
All of them.
All of them are correct. And Alifia?
All of them, Geshe-la.
Okay, all of them. And Shruti?
All of them, Geshe-la. All are correct.
Okay, so how many agree with all three of them, saying that all these three answers are correct? Raise hands. Okay, my next question to you is, how many of you agree that the person who you love the most, this person is just a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons? How many agree with me? Raise hands. The person who you love the most, like your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your father, mother, that person is just a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. Raise your hands. Yes. Okay. Now imagine that you wake up and your eyes are as powerful as the electron microscope. Then you just see the bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. You wake up, say you love your son the most. You wake up, my son, just a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. Okay, what do you feel? Anybody raise hands? Suddenly your eyes, overnight, there's a change in your eyes, become so powerful to see a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons, right? And when your son is moving rubbing his eyes, getting out of the bed, you see just a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons moving like this, and moving towards another bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. If this is what you see, what will happen to you? What is your emotional reaction? Okay, Henrik.
Thank you. I guess I would be very afraid, Geshe-la.
Exactly, it's very scary. Very scary. So don't just quickly say that all three are correct. You're getting it? As though like you don't have any the feelings much more the same. No, it's very different feelings. But is that perception correct or not correct? Seeing a bunch of atoms getting up from the bunch of atoms as a bed, bunch of atoms as a sun getting up. Okay, is that correct or not correct? Correct perception or not correct perception? Shandila?
Perception is correct.
Okay,
but it's not exactly the person.
Yes, so it's very scary though, right? If you want to enjoy seeing that bunch of atoms as a sun, what will you do? Remove the electron, the what is that? What is that? Electron microscope. Remove the eyes of electron microscope and replace with the naked eyes. Then you will see your sun. Right? Okay. So the point is that look, that you are seeing three different things. The same object. The same object is seen in three different ways. Right? And you said all three are correct. Right? All three are correct. My question to you, to make it very simple, let's say that you look at it through your naked eyes, you see there's water. Now you look at it how the physicist looks at it, you will see there's a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. When you see a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons, do you see water? This is my question. Raise hands, anybody? Okay, Miko.
No.
No, you will not see water there. You will just see electrons, protons, neutrons.
Yeah.
Right? Likewise, your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad. Oh, this is my mom. But if you put on the electron microscope as your eyes, you will see a bunch of atoms there. Your mom is not there. Your son is not there. It's very scary. Okay, do you all get something out of this? It's quite scary the way Henrik said. Do you feel that, oh, that experience could be really scary? Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay. Yes, the answer is very true. It's very scary. is very scary. And Niels Bohr, the physicist, quantum physicist, what he said is that if you study quantum physics, and if you are not shocked by it, you have not understood quantum physics. Likewise, if you study, reflect, and meditate on emptiness, and initially, if you don't get a feeling of fear, which means most likely you have not understood emptiness. You're getting it? It's quite a scary experience. Yet, with proper meditation, proper practice, study, reflection, and meditation, if you do get a feeling of the fear, don't stop until you're overwhelmingly scared. You're extremely, almost to the extent of going crazy. If that is what is happening, stop. This may happen to 1 out of 1 million people. It may happen to 1 out of 1 million people. Most likely you are not the unfortunate one. Don't worry. You're getting it? So if a little fear is there, it's fine. It's good indication that you're getting somewhere. Now, with the proper study, proper reflection, proper meditation, extensive studies, over time, this fear will be replaced by tremendous, incredibly profound tranquility. Very profound serenity of your mind, which you never experienced before. You think that at the moment, your mind is very peaceful. No, I can guarantee that if for you to come to this class is for the purpose of getting some understanding of emptiness. If this is the purpose, not to check on me, right? If you realize emptiness and still you come here, which means that you came to check whether how good I'm teaching or what is the level of my understanding of emptiness. Otherwise, if there is no intention, for sure, there's a disturbance within you. What I'm saying is that if you don't have the realization of the emptiness, everyone has some degree of mental disturbance happening 24/7. This is happening. When you get how do you know that? When you get a glimpse of emptiness, the first time you get this experience, you will feel something extraordinarily blissful, extraordinarily peaceful, which you have never experienced before. From this, you will realize that thus far, if not from my past lives, at least from this time, since the birth till today, my mind, there was constant disturbance here. Okay, so with this, the point is, going back to the point, is that this glass of water, when you look at it through our naked eyes, we see this water. When you look at it, the same object, you look at it through electron microscope, you just see a bunch of atoms. And the way the Miko said that, where's the water? There's no water. You do not see the water. Just as if you want to enjoy the forest, if you want to enjoy the view of the forest, go from distance, look at it from distance. If you're in the forest, you will not see the forest, you will see the individual trees. If you want to see the forest as a collection, you go from distance, look at it, you will see the forest. If you want to see the planet Earth so beautiful, go away from planet Earth, go to the moon. From outside, you look at it, it's so beautiful, glowing, beauty, blue-colored planet. And if you want to come in to see the blue, you will never see this blue. It's very scary. COVID is there, and tsunami is there. Oh, terrible things are there. But if you don't want to see these things, only see the blue part, very beautiful ball, like what is that? The ball, tiny, small ball, beautiful ball. Stay away from it. Stay away. You enjoy it. Okay, likewise, if you want to enjoy this as water, look at it with your naked eyes, very gross naked eyes. And if you want to see it more closely, then you use electron microscope, you will not enjoy the water. You will not even see water. What is not there. Okay, If you want to enjoy the rainbow, don't go too close to the rainbow, stay away. If you go close to the rainbow will disappear. If you see, imagine that you are seeing a rainbow from 1 kilometer distance. A child, a young child is with you, age 4, 3, 4. The child will say, please take me there. Okay, how many will take the child there? Raise hands. How many will not take the child there? Raise hands. Okay. If you take the child there, you're also a small child. If you take the child there, you're also a small child. Because you think that by going closer, you will see the rainbow. On the contrary, if you going closer towards the rainbow will disappear. This is reality, which means that the object, the way we see the object as objectively, there's this flower and the imaginary flower, the flower in the left hand, what we call is objective reality, which means that you go closer, you will see the object. And the imaginary flower, you go closer, you will not see it. It's just what comes to your mind. That's it. Stay there. Don't go towards the object. Going towards the object, you will not find, because it does not exist objectively. So this should take us to the incredibly precious teaching of Arya Nagarjuna, the 1st century AD, incredibly great teacher, revered as the second Buddha in the Mahayana tradition. What he said was that if the mirage, okay, imagine that I'm 1 kilometer away from you, and you see me in water. Okay, my question to you is how will you evaluate that I'm in real water, or what you are seeing is just a mirage? How will you evaluate? Anybody raise hands? Just speak your mind. Speak your mind. Okay, the Swati Sharma.
Sure, by its properties and its effect on other things.
Okay, the properties like what?
Like its wetness and its effect, its ability to make.
No, you are 1 kilometer away from me. How will you check the wetness?
Oh, okay, I'm very wrong. Spectral analysis.
Okay, thank you. Henrik?
I would get closer, Geshe.
Okay, good. Yes, come closer. Okay, to evaluate if it is real water or just imaginary, just a mirage, which my mind is creating. To evaluate that, come closer to us where you are seeing this mirage from. Come closer to us, towards that object. Coming closer, you see there's no wetness there. There's no wetness there. Nothing's wet. It's so dry. You can prove that what I earlier saw was simply projection of my own mind. It's purely subjective. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. Now, if this object, what we call as water, if this object, okay, my question to you, okay, how many you see this? How many you see this as water? Raise hands. Very good. How many you see this as objectively a water there from the object? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. Now, how many believe that it exists as a water from the object, objective water? How many believe in this? Raise hands. Of course, right? The fact that there's emotional stir happening is a guarantee that we believe in this. Okay. Now the point is, this water, you see it as the water from the object, How do we evaluate that? The way Henrik said, we go closer to this object. Going closer to the object, how can we go closer to this object? Somehow there should be the agent, the mind, which should see a cognitive thought process, we should see by going closer. So this, for us, is eye consciousness. And eye consciousness is very gross. So which is a better equipment to go closer, to see closer? Naked eye consciousness, naked eyes, or the electron microscope, which is a better equipment? to see things more closely? Anybody? Raise hands. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Anybody? Sanjay ji.
The electron microscope.
Of course, yes, thank you. Electron microscope. By using electron microscope, the water disappears. You just end up seeing the electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay, now let's say that the boys and the girls here. Okay, let's say on the, okay, what should I say? This is very complicated. Okay, let's say, okay, let's see who are the 20 and below and 21 and above. 20 and below, they look at this through electron, they look at through the naked eyes. They see it's water. Is there anybody who's 20 and below? No one? Okay, let's say anybody from the 30 and below? Raise hands. Of course, there are many I know. No one. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Okay, what should I say now? Okay, let's say. Okay, let's say who are born in India and who are not born in India. Okay, so let's say those who are born in India, they look at through naked eyes. Those who are not born, okay, raise hands. Those who are not born in India, raise hands. Okay, raise hands. Those who are born in India, raise hands. Okay, almost like half. So let's say those who are born in India, they look at through electron microscope with the naked eyes. This is water. Those who are not born in India, they look at through electron microscope. You see just electrons, protons, neutrons. Now it's a very, very serious discussion. The discussion is that I asked those born in India, what is this? They will say this is water. I asked those who are not born in India, what is this? You say a bunch of atoms. My next question to you is, where is the water? And those not born in India, they will say that no water there. How many agree with me that these are the two answers coming from the two different audiences? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. Now who is correct? The one who looks at through electron microscope with the naked eyes saying that it's water, versus those who look at through electron microscope saying that there's no water. Who's correct?
Both.
Both are correct. Okay. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Both are correct. Okay, now look. Now this is a very, very, very serious question. Okay, Scott, yes? Scott? Ale. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Now, what we do is that this is a very serious question. If I ask you, is there water? Is this water or no water? What's the answer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
My question is,
Okay.
Is this water or this is not water? What's the answer?
Okay, good.
Okay, raise hands. Anybody who likes to give an answer?
This is a very serious question.
Anyone? Okay, the 𝗩𝗲𝗍𝗶 𝗚𝗲𝗶 gentlemen.
I'm sorry.
Wouldn't it depend on the measure?
No, I'm not asking dependent on. I'm asking you as somebody not born in India.
It is water.
No, not born in India. You use electron microscope. You've forgotten what you are looking at. Okay, Mr. Swati. Okay. Okay. Anybody? Yes, Kim Louis.
You wouldn't see water if you're using your electronic microscope.
I'm
It's
not
just,
asking. I'm not okay. Right?
There's no water
Okay,
there.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you, who's not born in India. I'm asking you, what is this? Water or no water?
If no water, because
Okay, good.
because
good.
you already
Because you
classify
are
us
looking
as
at it through
electronic.
electron microscope. Because you are looking at it, those who look at it through electron microscope, you see no water. This is not water. Those who look at it through the naked eyes, you say this is water. Who is correct? And most of you said that both are correct. How can the same object be water as well as no water? This is the question. Okay, anybody who can give me an answer, I'll be very happy. Anybody? How can the same object be water as well as no water? Okay. Am I Dorji? Yes, I'm Dorji. Most of you know me. I'm Dorji. And if somebody says, no, you're not Dorji, something's wrong with you. Either you don't know me, or you are gone crazy. Particularly if Sumitji tells me, he knows me so well. And if he tells me that you are not Dorji, I would say something's wrong with you. Right? And then the Piali,
Okay.
if she says that, oh, you are not Dorji, right? Which means something's wrong with you. Okay. So what I'm saying is that the same person cannot be Dorji or not non-Dorji both. It cannot be possible, right? Likewise, the same object cannot be water as well as no water. It's not possible. But you said that both are correct. Both are correct means it's possible. So how would you give the answer? Anybody? Mui? Yes?
Because assumes on every object there is always two truth, conventional truth and ultimate truth. Yeah.
Okay, so can you simplify this? You have gone into the, I'm asking how the computer works, and you've gone into the coatings. So as somebody like me have no exposure to the coatings. So the Moin, your answer is perfectly correct, but then people should get it easily. Okay, now Swati ji. Swati, tell me.
Geshe-la, it's like when we are able to make a perception of through our sensory organs, then we are putting a label on it. So when we are able to, through our sensory perception, able to see only a collection of the whole thing from far and it looks like water, then we are putting one label water. But we are not able to do that when we are only perceiving the separate atoms. And then we can only call it, because we only use labels in our language and perception.
Okay. How many heard what Swati said? Raise hands. Okay, we all. And how many agree with what Swati said? Raise hands. Okay, seems like many of you agreed. Okay. In fact, if you have noticed, she was emphasizing so much on the perception. With the perception, with one perception, you see with the sensory perception, you see this as water. With the electron microscope perception, you see this as no water. So different perceptions, you are seeing the same object in a different way. Okay, now the most challenging question. Ready? The most challenging question is what Swati is talking about, the perceptions. Remove both the perceptions, your eye perceptions, eye sensory perceptions, and the say the electron microscope perception. Remove both the perceptions. One is a gross perception and the other one is subtle perception. Remove both the perceptions. What is this? Taking aside the perceptions, what is this? This is my question. Okay, anybody? Okay. Henrik?
What is what, Geshe-la?
What is this that I'm pointing to?
Without perception, I'm not sure what you're doing. It's
Okay.
nothing.
No, what I'm saying is you have the perception of my fingers, not the perception of the water, not the perception of the electrons, protons, neutrons. But you do have the perception of my fingers. And I'm saying that what is this? Independent of the perception, what is this? Tell me. Okay, anybody? Nico?
I think it's empty.
Okay, it's
doesn't-
empty. It's empty. Okay. It's empty. So emptiness is there. There's also
Yes.
perception. There is also perception.
Mhm.
I said remove the perceptions. Okay, Tejala.
Geshe-la, we cannot say anything what it is. We cannot
Okay, you
describe
cannot say-
without, yeah, it's indescribable. Without the perception, we cannot say anything.
Okay, so there's indescribable thing there. Okay, this is a very important point. So taking aside the subject, object does not make any sense. Taking aside the perceptions, object does not make any sense. You're getting it? Okay. What Tejala said, taking aside this subject, object doesn't make any sense as anything. It cannot be described as any sensible object. It cannot be described as anything. So this, what cannot be described as anything, this was just given the label, what Nico said, given the label emptiness. You're getting it? Okay, this is so important. From this, in a way, what we learn is that, what is this? This is water. It's just your perception. What is this? What is this? It's a flower. It's your perception. What is this? This is my mom. This is my dad. This is my husband, wife, son, daughter. This is just your perception. Taking aside the perception, your concept of husband, wife, daughter, son, father, mother, all will dissolve. COVID-19 will dissolve. My conflict with my neighbor dissolves. My neighbor knocking the door. You threw garbage next to my door. All will dissolve. Your agitation will dissolve. All your fears dissolve. If you can really abide in this experience, keeping aside the subject, keeping aside the subject perspectives, what is really there, everything dissolves. The fear dissolves. There's nothing left there to affect your mind. There's nothing left there. It's not just the intellectual exercise. This is really what you can feel. The moment you see that, okay, my conflicts with the people, the difficult times, COVID-19, very difficult times. If you subject all whatever is difficult to you, to this analysis, by taking aside the perception, your own perspective, just keep that aside. What is there? There's nothing there as something to disturb you. The moment you feel that, instantly your mental agitation subsides. The moment you get this cognitive thought process, cognitively you realize that what you are seeing earlier as, my mom, my dad, my this, my dad, and so forth, that concept dissolves. All the involuntary pull and push dissolves. It is like the very disturbing ocean, ferocious waves on the ocean. The moment the wind subsides, all these ferocious waves, however ferocious they are, they dissolve in the ocean, and the ocean is so beautiful and pleasant. This is what happens to your mind. Your mind is like that ocean. When you see things objectively real, involuntary pull and push happens, then the agitation happens. So difficult, acutely difficult. And yet this is not the intrinsic nature of your mind. You have to go back to your intrinsic nature of the mind, which is extremely beautiful, where there's no room for fear. There's no room for agitation. It's so beautiful. And this journey, it'll take time. It'll take time. But for this, unless you take the steps, unless you take the first step, don't expect that the miracle will happen to you and suddenly you will have this unraveling of this reality. It'll never happen automatically. So this we must build. Rome is not built in a day. This is a beautiful English expression. Rome is not built in a day. Likewise, but this is the way. Without this, there's no way by which we can be liberated. Your mind will be liberated. And this is extremely rational, the rational understanding. And you try to do this, you see that your agitation, you get a glimpse of this, your agitation subsides. It's so, so precious. In fact, each one of us, if you believe in the rebirth, the former birth, the past, the beginninglessly many lifetimes, we just ended up doing all the nasty things in our life, killing, hurting, harming others, and so forth, creating so much of negative karmas. Our mind is just like in this disturbed state. And the effects can be ripened now. But these things can be stopped through this experience, that all these, the effects and the negative thought processes, they can be brought to the end by simply entering into this dimension of the reality, where objectively there's nothing there. Whatever I'm seeing, whatever I'm experiencing, they're all purely subjective, pure my perception. The way Swati said, it's purely my perception. Besides the perception, which is seen as so real, is deceptive. It's not really there. When you get a glimpse of this, you could feel the profound, the most profound state of tranquility within yourself. This is so precious. Okay, now next question is, how can I remove this the subjectivity? How can I remove the perception, my own perspective? How can I remove them? This is the question. So for that, what we do is that when you look at this flower, with your naked eyes, you see this is a flower. This is known as where you see the flower, and with the electron microscope, you see that the flower is not there. The flower is empty. So this mind, which sees the object as a flower, this mind is known as conventional analysis. Conventional analysis. Whereas the mind which sees that the flower is not there, that mind is known as ultimate analysis. So these are the technical terms we need to learn. One is conventional analysis and one is ultimate analysis. So when you subject your, say, what analysis you use, which mind you employ, that's up to you. That's in your hands. Object remains the same. Say, I hold this flower, at least from distance, you cannot change it. But you can change your perception by switching between the two analyses. One is ultimate analysis and the other one is conventional analysis. With the conventional analysis, you see the flower there. And some of you, like 𝗩𝗲𝗍, from so many years, she knew that I would always hold a flower in my hand. She knows that. Sumit knows that, right? And whereas the newcomers, oh, it's cute, right? He's holding a flower in his hand. It's cute. It's so nice for newcomers. So what I'm saying is that, okay, there's a flower there. This is where you employ your conventional analysis. Whereas if you employ the ultimate analysis, which goes to see what is objectively there, which Henrik said, as to evaluate if I'm in the water or what you're seeing is mirage. You have to come closer. So the mind which comes closer to the object is known as ultimate analysis, where the mind which looks at the object from distance is known as conventional analysis. So the same object can be seen by the conventional analysis and the ultimate analysis. If you want to enjoy this flower, this object as a flower, don't use the ultimate analysis, use the conventional analysis. But if you are fed up with this flower, if you're fed up with this flower, there's no way by which you can remove it, then use your the ultimate analysis, you see the emptiness of flower, right? And if you're fed with somebody, if you're fed up with somebody, right, somebody can be anybody, your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter, anybody. If you're fed up with somebody, and if there's no way by which you can remove that person, employ your ultimate analysis, right? Go to your room, close the door, and do a little bit of breathing meditation. Just focus your mind on the breath for some time. Let this very gross agitation of the mind subside. And then as it subsides, then you try to subject the ultimate analysis of the person, very complicated, difficult person, right? And the person dissolves. When the person dissolves, just see to the effect on your emotional world and to your the physiological world. How does your physiology react when this cognitively, when you employ the ultimate analysis of the same person, difficult person, right? What happens is that instant physiologically you feel that the disturbance physiologically, I'm talking about the physiologically you can see that this disturbance subsides. It feels so placid. It may not remain for more than few milliseconds. It can be very brief because we don't know how to sustain that experience. Now the next step is to learn how to sustain this experience and how to make the experience deeper. How to make the experience deeper and how to make this experience sustained. For that matter, go for extensive studies, extensive reflections. And with these two things, invariably you will delve into meditation. They said first, information must be gathered. Proper information must be gathered through your studies. Then proper reflections must be done through the reflection in order to gain the conviction within you. Once you get the conviction, in order to employ this conviction to bring about transformation in your mind, to see the same person 10 years ago, it agitates your mind. Now you see the same person, agitation, there's no room for your agitation. Your mind feels so peaceful, calm, not at all. Although the person did not change, but you are not affected. Your peace of mind is guaranteed. So that happens because of the transformation taking place within your mind. That transformation, like the two hands, like this, two hands coming together, a sound is invariably given rise to. This sound, which is a metaphor for your agitation, for suffering. So that sound, when of the two hands, one hand is removed, which means that your cognitive thought process, changing your cognitive thought process, even with the same person not transformed, but there's no sound. The sound of your agitation stops. This is extremely, extremely helpful practice. Okay. So, okay. With this in mind, yesterday, okay, this is a good time for say Swati. Yes, you have a question?
Ishla, sorry, my mind is coming to the why every time I'm listening. So there is like an attachment in the sense that in two parts. One is that if I'm seeing this flower or if I'm seeing my child and somebody is telling me, come, I have electron microscope. Let's see this closer. I don't want to see. I'm saying my life is very short. I want to see my life in a beautiful way. So there's an attachment to feeling attached because that will create all the relationship things and the beautiful things that I experience. On the second part, I'm even thinking about so many people, clients or anybody, who are suffering because some people are in the family, they are toxic or something like that. They say, why should I be the bigger person? Why should I let go of the fighting spirit or something like. So you're attached to even the negative aversions also. You don't want to see it closely, because if I see it closely, then I'll become very peaceful, and that person will keep on abusing and saying bad things to me. So how to get the motivation to how do you explain to the mind, no, this is this what do you do?
Okay. Swadhiji summarized the practical questions into two parts. All the practical questions, practical life questions, into two parts related to the concept of emptiness. Okay, one is that wow, life is so beautiful. Why should I see through electron microscope? Which is so boring, just electrons, protons, neutrons. You don't see the beautiful face of the child. You don't feel the beautiful smile of the child. You don't feel the beautiful daffodils blossoming, right? Oh, the life becomes so boring if you look at the electron microscope. That's true. I agree with you. Once what happened was that I was in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. I think that was the first year of my enrollment in the monastery, perhaps like 35 years ago. 1988, 89. How many years now? Sumidla, how many years now? 89, 92, oh, like 31 years ago. That's it, 31 years ago, right? Say in the monastery, I was a new student. And then there was my roommate was from Singapore, and he was not really a student of the institute, but my teacher, the principal, he was a greatly bodhisattva, right? Greater bodhisattva who really sees emptiness, extremely sharp intelligence, plus who really appreciates the aesthetics of the world. Swadhiji, don't worry. You know, you have the best of the intelligence, the wisdom, and with this wisdom, you can appreciate the aesthetics, the emotions, even more profoundly. So he's the one. He's the best example. So anybody who has some difficulty goes to him, he will give you some solution. And this monk from the Singapore, he somehow went to my teacher and said that I came from Singapore. I like to study the Tibetan language, and I don't know place to stay. He said, "Don't worry, come to my institute and stay with this young monk." So he was with me, and then we were all learning about emptiness. Everything's like dream. Nothing's really there. And then the Dharamsala, as you know, I don't know how many of you know Dharamsala too well. Sumitji knows. Okay, so Dharamsala, particularly in the month of, I think, like what, June, July, so foggy, wet, and gloomy, cold, rain, very gloomy form, like weeks and weeks, so gloomy. One day, the weather was so clear, beautiful sunshine, and my friend, the Singaporean monk, he opened the door, he opened the window, and he said, "How can we say that this beautiful sunlight is empty of intrinsic reality?" You're getting what he's saying? Is that, look, it's so real. How can we say that this is like illusion, this is like dream? It can't be. You're getting it? So in a way, what he's saying is that he's enjoying this beautiful, the sunshine. And I don't want to look at this beautiful sunshine through electron microscope, right? This is what this is worry. That she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to look at through electron microscope. Okay, so the point is that what you really want is you want the joy and the happiness by seeing the conventional reality, number one. And the conventional reality is not always the better flowers. It's not always the better flowers, right? Say people are together. Either they have to fight or they are so caring to each other. If they fight, there's always, every day you suffer hell if there's a fight every day. And if it is so close, So close. Again, the separation is there. This is reality. Nobody can stop that. And that separation is acutely painful. Acutely painful. Right? Okay. So look, so this, now the point is that what Swadij, what you're looking for is that you want to have the joy, the beauty of the conventionality. At the same time, the other people who say that, why should I be the weaker person? Why should I, look at things? Why should I compromise? Why others are not compromising? So I'll not compromise. So being attached to the evil. And then they say, oh no, those like you, being attached to the attachment, the beauty, right? So how to reconcile these? The point is, okay, how many agree with me? Number one is that I really want to appreciate the conventional beauty, aesthetics, sounds, music, the smile of my mother, the smile of my child, smile of my husband, wife, and so forth, right? With a genuine smile, not a diplomatic smile, genuine smile of people around. This is, if there's a possibility, I surely like to have it. Raise hands. Very good. Very good. Number one. Number two, yet in this world, COVID-19, uncertainty. Oh, I may be tested positive, the COVID positive. My husband, my wife, my children, my parents. I'm getting emails. I'm getting what's messages from people. Oh, my husband is not being careful going out and may bring COVID. My grandmother is, they're not being careful, bringing COVID. What should I do? These are all the messages that I'm getting. In a way, what I'm saying is that we are all scared of vulnerabilities. We don't want that. Finally, if somebody were to ask me, what is the fun purpose of life? We can say that to get rid of all the vulnerabilities and to acquire the maximum, the appreciation of the beauty of the world. This is your fun purpose of life. If that is accomplished, you are the greatest person, right? Okay, this is it. Now, can this be achieved? This next question. Answer is yes. How? Right? In a way, it is like, say, the mother and the child. Mother and the child loves the mother so much, the mother loves the child so much. And the way we learned and the way each one of us already know, closer two of you are, more painful at the separation, more painful at the prospect of the other person getting sick, other person becoming sad, and so forth. This is reality. So the pain and the gain used to go together in a conventional sense. But is there a possibility to segregate the two? Answer is yes. I'll give you one example. Let's say that I have a gold rod. And this gold rod is burning red. It's a burning red. It's really red, like the burning gold rod. And it's gold. I shouldn't throw this. I keep it. It'll burn your hands. It's a fire. Oh, it's a fire. I throw this. I'm throwing the gold. What should I do? Right? So the wise people will dip this in the water, in the freezing water, in the cold water. The fire will die and the gold will not be lost. You will get the gold without the fire. Likewise, these two emotions coming together, the gold, appreciation of the beauty of the world, and the pain of the separation, the pain of the undesirables coming together. These two, you must submerge this into the freezing water of the wisdom. And the beautiful example given by Nagarjuna is like your clothes. Your clothes. Let's say that there is fireproof cloth. Fireproof cloth which is dirty, soiled. What do? Very easy. You want the cloth, but you don't want the dirt. You don't want the soil. Just put it in the fire will burn the soil and leave the cloth intact. So the fire is the example of the wisdom of the emptiness. Wisdom of the emptiness is given the metaphor of the fire, which burns the soil of the mental pains, which leave the cloth intact, the cloth of the happiness intact. So this wisdom. So how do we go about doing this? So this says that you want to enjoy you want to enjoy the beauty of the sun's smile, the beauty of the world. Yes, of course, enjoy this. How? Subject the object to conventional analysis. With the conventional analysis, you will enjoy the world. At the same time, let us not forget that the same object has the way the Moi said. Moi, raise hand. Your way Moi said, two truths of the same object. Say the same object displays two truths. One, conventional truth, which we can see through the conventional analysis, the beauty and so forth. At the same time, that is not going to be tainted, their appreciation is not tainted by the fear, by the pains. Is that this pain has the, okay, do you agree with me? When I say the pain is, there's involuntary, the mind will run away from it. So with this pain, there's an underscoring feeling that I should run away from it, which means there's something from which I can run away. I should run away. So there's something objectively there. So the pain, underscoring belief in the pain, is that the belief in objective existence. When you see things as objectively real, then it lays a ground for you to have the pain. Keep in mind that the same object can be seen from ultimate analysis. With ultimate analysis, you know that the object does not exist objectively. So the room for the pain is removed, is dismantled. So the pain is gone, but the joy, the happiness, appreciation, all these things are there on the basis of the conventional analysis. And the pain is gone because of the ultimate analysis. Now, if you're able to conjoin the two things together, you will have the joy and happiness without the pain. This is so, so precious. So, so precious. Now, this conventional analysis, it has multiple ways to look at things. For example, I say that, oh, there's a flower there. There's a dull flower there. Oh, there's a beautiful flower there. Oh, this flower given to me by my mother, by my mom. Right? It has various ways. Even the conventional analysis has multiple layers of the richness. And you adopt that conventional analysis, which is most beautiful. That is unconditional love. With unconditional love, everything you see is a divine. Everything you hear is a music. Everything you touch is so tender. If the glass is full, if there's a love there, love, say for this is given to my, say, the Tibetan staff. If I really care for the staff, if there's a feeling of appreciation, right? If it comes half a glass, it's beautiful. If it's a full glass, wow, he's so considerate, she's so considerate. If it's half, yes, she's so considerate because he knows that I'm not going to drink all. And if it's put in the saucer, oh, so considerate, beautiful. It's outside the saucer, it's also very beautiful, so practical. Right? Whatever the other person does is so beautiful. Right? You're alone. You're by yourself. I'm so happy. I have such a privacy with me. If you're with other people, I'm lucky I'm not lonely. Whereas the other way thinking is, you are by yourself, I'm so lonely. With you are other people, I have no privacy. So this all when the love is lacking. When the love is lacking, when this feeling of love and affection, when that is gone, conventional analysis imbued with the spirit of love and affection, you see everything is dirty. Everything is undesirable. With the feeling of love and affection, you employ the conventional analysis. Everything looks so beautiful, right? And then with the ultimate analysis, there's nothing there which can create pain in me. All the pain dissolves and the happiness just expands eternally. So this is the union of the two bodhicittas. Conventional bodhicitta referring to the unconventional love for all the beings, and the ultimate bodhicitta referring to the wisdom to see that there's nothing there from the object, is all coming from my subject. So the unity of the two truths, that is the key to your ultimate happiness, and to get rid of all the pains and fears. Okay, Shabnam.
Thank you, Geshe. I guess my question is about how compelling conventional reality is. It's very, very compelling, this notion that things exist objectively from their own side. And my question is, why, if things don't exist objectively from their own side, why should my eye consciousness, everybody's eye consciousness, and the consciousness of a microscope almost every time reveal the same reality, which is that same red rose that you are holding in your hand? Yes, to some degree, depending on the mood I'm in, it might look, thorny sometimes it may look romantic. Yes, but that's such a small part of my perception. I would imagine almost 99% of my perception. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
yes, I can hear
it just
you.
feels that the grip of the conventional is so unvarying. Why does 𝗩𝗲𝗏 see the same red rose, and why does Smith see the same red rose, and why does the microscope reveal the same kind of atoms for that red rose? That means something is out there, right, from its own side, which is why it becomes so difficult to penetrate through this to emptiness.
Okay. Shabnam, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your question. How many you understood the question? Whether they agree, not agree, this is a different story. How many understood the question by Shabnam? Raise hands. Very good. We all understood the question, and this question is very, very insightful. Extremely good question. Okay. In a way, this is a good point for me to connect to the next point. That is that the Buddha, just as Niels Bohr said, if you study quantum physics, and if you're not shocked by it, you have not understood it yet. Likewise, the Buddha Shakyamuni, with the intent to benefit all the beings, he went into practice for 6 years with great austerity. Finally, he became enlightened and meant to benefit all the beings. But what actually happened was that he just remained in silence for 49 days without giving any teachings to the beings. Why? Because he was made a request by the kings of the divine beings, the god and goddesses, Indra, Brahma. They, through their clairvoyance, they could sense that Prince Siddhartha on the planet Earth achieved enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. But why he's not giving teachings to benefit the beings now? Remain silent for the last 49 days. So these two kings of the god and goddesses, Indra and Brahma, they descended to the Buddha, made prostrations to the Buddha, and they requested, please don't remain silent, please turn the wheel of the dharma. And the Buddha said one stanza: the reality that I've discovered is so profound, is so peaceful, elaborationally free, clear light, non-composite. Such is the nectar-like reality I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I will return to the words. This is what the Buddha said, like what Niels Bohr said. In other words, what Buddha said is, this reality that I've discovered is so profound. It's not like nothing is there. Nothing is there, it's not profound, it's so easy, right? Nothing is there, it's very easy. What is profound is the emptiness. If we get a sense that emptiness means nothingness, and I cannot adhere to this nothingness concept, you're very right. That is not the emptiness concept. Emptiness concept is very complicated. It's very, I wouldn't say complicated, it's not complicated. If I say complicated, then all of you will, say that, okay, now I got it, thank you, right? It's not complicated, but it requires a systematic study and reflection. And of course, at Tibetans, we have created, with the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, where Tejala made the announcement before this class. Yes, we also with all these beautiful conducive factors intact, the two programs, Nalanda Master's course for meant to be for 4 years, and Nalanda Diploma course for 1 year. So we created this open, and there are so many people joining this. I'm so glad that the prayers and the aspirations, the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the Nalanda Masters, they really fructify in the time when people are desperately in need of that, and there are likewise people actually taking part in this, which is so precious. Okay, so what I'm saying is that this concept, to really understand what emptiness is, we need to respond to two questions. The first question is, do things exist? The flower, does it exist? I exist, you exist, the world exists, COVID exists, right? My complicated person exists, my loving person exists. If the answer is no, you fall into nihilism. It's not emptiness. Answer should be that yes, everything exists. The flower exists. And if you look at the same flower through the electron microscope, you will see the atoms, same atoms, right? If it is hydrogen, only 1 electron, 1 proton. Helium, 2 electrons, 2 protons. These are what you should be finding. If you say that, oh, the oxygen with 1 proton, this is illusion, this is nihilism, this is not a reality, this is not emptiness. So the first question is, do things exist? Answer should be yes. The flower exists. And if you look at the flower through the electron microscope, you will not see the flower, you see the atoms, electrons, protons. They exist the same way. This exists. Only if you are able to say yes to the first question, that everything exists, then you are eligible to give answer to the second question. Second question is, if things exist, how do they exist? This is the second question. Do they exist objectively or subjectively? Do they exist objectively? Then the answer is no. So when the question is asked, if things do exist, how do they exist? Do they exist objectively? If your answer is yes, you fall into absolutism. Whereas if you say, no, things don't exist objectively, only then you get to emptiness by avoiding the two extremes. Okay, so from this, what we need to know is emptiness. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. Emptiness is the meaning of dependent origination. Let us not forget this. Emptiness is the meaning of dependent origination. This is number one. Number two, dependent origination means the middle way, not nihilism, not absolutism. Let me repeat it. 3 things to keep in mind. Number one is emptiness means the dependent origination, number one. Number two, dependent origination means the middle way. So I gave you 2 points, and your job is to look for the point number 3. Say I said A equals B and B equals C. Your job is to say that therefore A equals C. You're getting it? So the point is that emptiness equals dependent origination, number one. Number two, dependent origination equals the middle way. Therefore, your job is to say that Therefore, emptiness equals the middle way. Middle way means it is not nothingness. It is not nihilism. Okay, how? First, emptiness equals dependent origination. How? For this to understand the first point, we need to know 5 points. The first, emptiness. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. For example, like who? What is who? Who? Naive people will say, what do you mean by who? Who means who are you? No, I mean World Health Organization. Who is a short form of World Health Organization. Likewise, emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness is a short form of emptiness of independent existence. Number 2, emptiness means emptiness of independent existence. Number 3, emptiness of independent existence means nothing exists independently. Emptiness of independent existence means nothing exists independently. Number 3, nothing exists independently means number 4, everything exists by dependence. Because nothing exists independently, everything exists by dependence. This is number 4. Number 5, since everything exists by dependence, everything is dependently originated. So these 5 points lead us to understand that emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. It means the dependent origination. Okay, point number 1 done. Point number 2, dependent origination equals the middle way. Dependent origination has 2 sides, dependence and origination. Dependence means that dependence, when you say dependence, it rejects independence. So when you say dependence, it is rejecting the extreme of independence or extreme of absolutism. Something which is independent, something which is absolute. These two mean the same. So when you say dependent, it rejects the extreme of absolutism. And the other side is origination. Origination means something comes into origination, something comes into existence. And what's the opposite of existence? Non-existence, nihilism. So second side, origination rejects the extreme of nihilism. Dependence, it rejects the extreme of absolutism. And origination, it rejects the extreme of nihilism. Bringing the two together, dependent and origination, rejects the 2 extremes. Rejecting the 2 extremes is following the middle way. So point number 2 tells us that dependent origination is the meaning of the middle way. So by default, the conclusion is, therefore, emptiness means the middle way. It is not nothingness. It is not nihilism. So therefore, everything exists. Everything exists while you accept the concept of emptiness. Okay. Then the question which Shabnam asked is that, but we are seeing the same flower. We are not rejecting flower. Flower exists. What we are rejecting is that the flower exists objectively. That is rejected. So if you say that the flower is seen as objectively real to all of us, if this is, there can be 2 questions. The flower appears to all of us. The flower is there. It appears to all of us. This is 1 point. Second question is, the flower appears as objectively real to all of us. There are 2. To the first question, I will say that this does not contradict with the emptiness concept, because the flower exists. Whereas the flower appears objectively real to all of us. If this is your question, then my answer is that we are all suffering from the same illness of self-grasping ignorance, viewing things as object real. For example, say if we all Tejala takes us to Mount Kailash for pilgrimage, and then then she says that, okay, none of us, we have seen the snow. Let's say we have never seen the snow, and we are we wonder what the snow is like. And Tejala gave us all the blue goggles. We are all putting on the blue goggles. We go there, we all see the blue snow there, right? And Tejala says that, Tejala then gives you a description. Okay, the snow is white. You say, no, snow is blue. And Tejala says, no, it's white. And then Shabnam will say that, but why all of us are we seeing the same? And if it is white, why we are everybody seeing just as the same blue, right? Because we are all putting on the same blue glass. We are looking at the object through the same tinted blue glass. Likewise, we are looking at things from the same tinted lens of the ignorant seeing things as object real. So we are suffering from the same illness. Therefore, we are saying that the same thing as object real. This is the one which is attracting all our pains. Okay, good. Okay. So from this, what I like to, because 𝗍𝗲 seems to be so, say, moved by Heart Sutra. Yesterday was Heart Sutra, today was Heart Sutra, right? So in Heart Sutra, the essence of the Heart Sutra is 4 lines. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. This is the gist of the Heart Sutra. And Heart Sutra is the gist of all the means to the ultimate happiness provided by all the great teachers, Buddhists, non-Buddhists, Westerners, Easterners, the spiritualist or the secularist, all, whatever they provide as a means for happiness, as long as it is a genuine means to happiness, this is what is condensed in this 4 lines. Form is emptiness means have no fear of the world. Discover the reality that the form is empty from the objective reality, your fear will dissolve. Meanwhile, it is not nothingness. You can still appreciate the world. Not only appreciate the world, help teach this reality to all the beings with the maximum love and affection, appreciation of the beauty of the world. Because emptiness is form. While objectively things are empty, but subjectively the beauty is there. Subjectively, they are the people, the beings to whom you can shower your love and affection is still there. Emptiness is form. And what you see as emptiness and what others see as form, these two are not different. It's the same object seen by 2 different perspectives. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than form. So by seeing form is empty, all your fears dissolve. Your mind will experience the ultimate peace. Emptiness is form. Your compassion grows, that the beings are still there who deserve your maximum happiness, who deserve to be taught that the form is empty, right? So your compassion grows, because of which your happiness simply expands to infinity. And you see the emptiness, all your miseries dissolve. So the 2 hands, like the gold rod, the burning gold rod, the fire is removed, but the gold is retained. Okay, Mio?
Geshe-la, can I ask a question?
Yes, yes,
If we
please.
are all in the same room, do we, all of us, are looking at the same flower? Question 1. Then, does the flower in the same room appears to each of us in the same way exactly?
Okay, this is a good question. Thank you. Saying in the same room where there are like 50 people. If the 50 people look at the flower, do they see the same flower? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. And if you're very precise, do they see the same flower as identically the same? Answer is no. Because some people have to use the glasses, some people don't have to use the glasses. Those who use the glasses, some use 0.1 power, some use 0.2, 2 points, some use 3 points, some use 6 points, right? Which means that they vary in what they are seeing. So technically speaking, we are not seeing the same thing. Conventionally speaking, yes, we are seeing the same thing. Good. Okay, Gorilla.
Eshila, I just wanted to ask, also we are focusing a lot on what humans see, but a dog in the room or a bee in the room or an ant or an elephant would see the flowers very differently, perhaps. So isn't it also our collective karma as humans that we see some resemblance? We think we are seeing the same thing. You know, when we see a bouquet of flowers, we can describe it to each other, you know, in a similar way. So just
So
karma.
what Gorilla said is perfectly correct. Say what we call as convention. This convention has multiple layers. Convention where the ordinary people understand things. There's a flower there. And then the convention, as the physicists would say, there's a flower there. There's a white color, but actually this color is not the flower's color. It's coming from the light, other light sources. They hit it, say it's a white color. Then okay, let's say there's a blue flower. Let's say on the light from external sources, it hit the flower, and the flower simply reflects the blue part, the waves. It reflects, and the rest it absorbs. It appears as blue, and for us, we see it is so real. And the physicists, they think that they know the reality more closely than the ordinary people, right? They have the feeling that we are better, we are more intelligent people. We know how the flowers, actually there's no color there. So even the what we call as conventional reality, it has various layers. Then if that is the case, then let's say that it's beautiful, it's not beautiful. The same object, people have different taste. The same object, say the way you describe how the human being sees, how the animal sees. And then they go beyond that, how the spirits see. All these discussions are there. We can, from this, what we can deduce, even from the neuroscience point of view, what we can deduce that what we are seeing is just a play of the neurons on a brain. You're getting it? And what the neurons play and activation of the neurons, there's accompanying, say, the concomitant, the mental functions. So brain activation is happening, that triggers the concomitant mental activities. So these two mental activities and the brain activation, these two are, say, happening concurrently. So that way, we see that our perceptions, they're all on the mental activity, they all relate to the mental activity and which are triggered by the say the brain activation or the neural firings. So these two things happening parallel. So because the neurons can be fired different to the human beings, within human beings also very different. Human beings and animals different. So that way we see that, technically speaking, to be very precise, what we are seeing is not identical. That's all dependent on, you know, what kind of brain the stimulations happening, and what kind of, why some have this kind of brain, some have that kind of brain. If you ask more and more questions, then the modern science has a limit, will reach a limit where there was no answer. So they can answer till the point of the human genome. And the human genome cannot give the complete answer, because we see the Mozart, the child genius, the child prodigy. So according to what they say, should be that we should be able to track what we're seeing is the instinct which we developed over the last 0.3 million years. And before that, 4 billion years, it should be trackable back to 4 billion years ago when the first organism was started in the water. So this is how we got this instinct over the span of the last 4 billion years ago. Now we can go back, but if you go back in history like this, we see that according to physics, we see that there was no Mozart before that in his family tree. There was no Mozart, no Mozart. How come that suddenly there's a Mozart coming? No answer. So at best, what they can speak of is random. And random is just too simplistic answer. So the point is that if you go like this, then the Buddhism renders the answer that this is our human birth. Physically, we acquired this birth from your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and back to the the human species 0.3 million years ago. This even which can be tracked back and to the unicellular organism in the water 4 billion years ago. So this is how we can track. Before that, Buddhism, body-wise, this part. Our mind is not from there. Our mind is your mind, it has nothing to do with others' mind. Your mind came from your previous birth. Previous birth, not necessarily your parents, your earlier parents, somewhere, right? So that way, this mind, when you speak about that, then the explanation becomes complete. Explanatory gap is being filled up, is complete. Then in that case, then the karma, operations of the karma has to be invariably introduced. So then the karma decides what we are seeing. I'm seeing things as nice, not nice, flower, not flower. Finally, in the most intricate form, the answer lies in the karmas. That's for sure. Purely from the Charles Darwin's evolution theory point of view, from the genetics, you will come to many explanatory gaps. Okay, thank you.
Geshe, we are so grateful for this time that you have taken out and to give us these very precious teachings, of course, to the Sister and Spirit participants, but we are so happy because of this opportunity. So many people connected with Geshe, and of course, without this collective karma, this could not happen. So it's already 5 p.m. Geshe. Shall we stop now, or would you like to take one last question, or it's good to stop?
Okay, last question, last pressing question. Okay, anybody else? Okay, there's one, Shruti. Okay, others who have questions but who do not get the opportunity, please write to 𝗩𝗲𝗏 and then we will coordinate. I'll be very happy to give my responses. So before I give answer to, before Shruti asks question, let me say that this understanding of emptiness, simply because that you feel so enticed and so precious, don't think that any book will be able to render this concept. Don't think that, because books can be very tricky. Many of the books are written by people whose understanding of emptiness is half. So these books will take you to half, not full. And the wrong direction, not towards Buddhahood, but towards the wrong direction. It will take you towards the wrong direction. So therefore, the best thing for you to do for the time being is read one book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, How to See Yourself as You Really Are. Just read this book. All the rest of the books, just keep them aside. Keep them aside for the time being, till you get a very extremely profound answer, which you gain such confidence in this to see everything like a dream mirage. Then you can read any book. Then you will be in a position to say that, okay, this book has 50%, this book is 20%, this book has rose through the road to further deeper into samsara. That book will taking close somewhere towards nirvana. You will be in a position to decide, not now. For the time being, the best thing is rely on the reliable books. The one book that I would suggest is How to See Yourself as You Really Are. How to See Yourself as You Really Are, which 𝗩𝗏𝗏 will write it for you. And this is by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Read the very standard books, not the fancy books written by, say the people who talk very fancy things, right? Read very authentic books. It's not a game. It's your life. It's your the many lives towards Buddhahood. This is very important. Okay. So yes, Shruti.
Geshe, I just have one question about the complicated people that you discussed. Is our aim to not feel pain or to manage pain? Because if we accept the things that are around us and we believe that they exist, then they have an element of pain or happiness or all the things that are attached to it. We don't want to give up on those feelings. So are we just trying to be able to manage them better because we have a little more knowledge than the other person, or at least the illusion of knowledge?
Okay, this is a good question, Shruti. Thank you so much. in fact, this is why this question answer session is the best part, I would say. Best part, because many of these questions, they are likewise with other people. And then this helps us to really identify the real challenges. Okay, let's say that it depends on the individual. It depends on the individual. If I'm a shopkeeper who has only one variety of milk, there's no choice. You come to me, I'll give you one milk, that's it. Whether it's a toned milk, no toned milk, don't ask me this question. I have only one choice, I give it to you. Whereas if I have 4 choices, then you say, okay, 20% toned milk, 40%, and then the 40%, 50%, 60%, 4. And if you ask for more, I'm sorry, I don't have these other 4. And some people, they give hundreds of the varieties of milk, and you'll feel tired, right? I don't know which to choose now. You're getting it? So it entirely depends on the individual, how much exposed you are to all these skills and talents. You're getting it? So the conventional reality is so fast. So you have multiple choices. One choice is that, okay, I can't do anything now, right? I cannot really do change my feeling to the present feeling. So I have to manage it, right? I have to stay with this, right? And say, hey, Shruti, what a stupid girl you are. Okay, sorry, right? And then, hey, kneel down. Okay, I'll kneel down. Because if you don't kneel down, it will create more problem. Okay, I'll kneel down. This is one way. Unfortunately, this is not today's world, this is not a nice way. The next one is where the person says something, and with your smartness, that your peace of mind is not disturbed, and you're able to give say something that the other person's happy, right? Okay, they say, the person says, hey, Shruti, you stupid. Yes, I'm very stupid. I'm so lucky that you are a very nice person, right? I'm so lucky that you are so, at least, although I'm stupid, but in this whole house is not stupid. There's one very smart person here, right? It's amazing. We're so lucky, right? So our house will not be graded as the lowest, both sides stupid. So lucky, right? That's amazing, right? Then this is one way where you make it like a joke. The person is trying to create pain in you, and you make it a joke, right? Okay, one skill. Another skill is where, right, you let other person feel that it's not that it's like half-half. It's not that I have the 100% and the other person should surrender to me. That you have to teach the person, because this person will be spoiled so badly if you don't teach the information, because this person will try to apply the same thing to other people who expect 100%. Then there's going to be war, and the person will suffer. So say you need skills. You need skills like, okay, why the other person, usually difficult people, they create problem on you is for 2 reasons. One is the person thinks that you are weak. Number 2 is that the other person thinks that you are not smart. These two are different. One is that you are weak, and the other one you are not smart. So you have to send a message. This is a misconception, the ignorance of the other person. So you just cognitively change the person's cognitive thought process. That, okay, Shruti is not smart. She's not weak. She's strong. She's not dull. She's smart. You send this message, the person's attitude towards you will change. Right? So how? I say that the person, and then never ever show anger. The moment you show anger, finish. You cannot justify your anger. Anger is the greatest sign of weakness. In a way, you are saying that I'm weak. So the point is that never ever show anger, just keep a little distance. Keep a little distance. And meanwhile, don't ever show anger, and don't ever show submissive face. Just be very normal. When you meet a person, very normal. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, right? very normal. Keep a little distance. Okay, distance means I know I'm not the weak, I'm not the dull person. I know what you're trying to do, so I want to stay away from you, to send a message that I'm not a dull person. I know what you're doing. I'm smart. Then number two is that, say, the weak people, when they know something, when they know the other person is wrong, then you become angry. That is a sign of weakness. Instead of weakness, just behave as very normal. Behave as very normal. What you do it. What the other person do, just expect the other person to do it. Just leave it there. And you will get a time whereby other person feel vulnerable, and the way English expression says, every dog has a day. Likewise, there will be a day when you are going to advantage. Instead of taking advantage, instead of using your power as the upper hand, jump to help. Jump to help. Okay, now Shruti will take advantage of me, will abuse me. Instead of abusing, you are helping. The moment you help is done. Again, keep a distance. Again, keep a distance. So this help, weak people cannot do that. Weak people will immediately take that as advantage to abuse the other person. So this is something which the ordinary people cannot do. So those which ordinary people cannot do, which you do, this is known as your strength. You show strength, and then again keep a distance. Then no doubt the other person will gradually surrender to you. Surrender with respect. This is one way. Then the next part is somehow you have to keep growing yourself. To what extent? To what extent you as a magnet can change other metals into magnet is determined how strong are you as a magnet. You're a very strong magnet, you will change the other person. Instead of the other person abusing you, you can change the other person's mind. You can change the other person as a magnet. Right? Finally, our goal is eventually to grow yourself to the extent that the other person gets changed. That you can change the other person, not just surrender, not just manage, right? But to change the other person's mind, that the other person's happy and you are not affected. You are very happy. This is what we should do. Okay, thank you, Shruti, for your question.
And thank you, Geshe-la, for your immense
Okay,
kindness.
Tejala, thank you so much. And thank you for the sister in the spirit and all the people who are supporting you. And yourself, very dynamic. I really appreciate that. And all the people, it is through you that I get the opportunity to meet all my long-term friends like Pia-Lila, Sumitla, and Moi, and many of them, and then Li Hui, and many. Okay, and the Swati also, I met her once in my office. Okay, so what I'm saying is that it is through you that I'm able to, and then all the faces from NMC, NDC, I can see, yeah, I can see many of my friends here. Yeah, so thank you so much, Tejala, and I really appreciate, please keep up the incredible good work. The world is, even there are like thousands of people like you who are working for the world. It is so less in number. So let us never give up, just keep going and expand it further, inspire others to do what you're doing. Thank you so much, each and every one of you.
Thank you so much. We just have one verse for end dedication. Geshe-la, you have a session, please feel free to leave, and we'll just recite this dedication verse together, and then we are closing the teaching. By the power of this compassionate practice, may suffering be transformed into peace. May the hearts of all beings be open and their wisdom radiate from within. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you. Rejoice,
Thank you,
everyone.
Geshe-la.
Rejoice.
Thank you, Tata.
Jayla. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good teaching. Yeah, good.
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.